When I say that I'm not a big fan of Indiana Jones, I really mean it. I'm partial to Raiders of the Lost Ark as a film on its own. It was this meeting of the minds between Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. Raiders was great then, and it still holds up today. It was a little cheesy, but in a way that honored the adventure films of decades past. Unfortunately, the movies that have followed it have attempted to recapture the feeling of adventure to varying levels of success. At least that's how I feel. It may then surprise you to know that some of my most treasured gaming experiences are found in action-adventure games like Uncharted, Tomb Raider, and the Far Cry series. I'm also a huge fan of Bethesda games. Hold on, let me take that again. I'm a huge fan of some Bethesda games. I fall into what I imagine is a very small number of people that don't enjoy Bethesda RPGs. I totally get why people love them and pour thousands of hours into them, but they have just never been my speed. However, what I do love is Bethesda shooters and action-adventure games. Deathloop, Doom, Dishonored, Prey, The Evil Within. I can keep going. Ghostwire Tokyo, Hi-Fi Rush, even some awkward misses like Rage, Brink, Wet. They're constantly bringing creative, fun games to market. Of course, there's also my favorite of the bunch, Wolfenstein. When Bethesda's Swedish-based development team, MachineGames, took the reins of Wolfenstein all the way back in 2010, they changed the identity of a traditionally stoic shooter protagonist and took B.J. Blazkowicz, the clean-cut bear Jew of the Wolfenstein franchise, and turned him into a warrior poet.
Count to 4. Exhale. Count to 4. All there is to it. I hear children. A dog. And I see someone. I think I see someone. These things. None of it for me. I'm moved by roaring engines. I'm lone warriors.
A fighter and a lover.
William?
What?
I feel like you've been avoiding me. What's wrong? Talk to me.
Look at me, Anya. I'm the damn Tin Man. How am I gonna get close to you?
I don't care. We'll figure something out. We always do. Huh? Hey, why won't you at least try?
Because I'm fucking dying. And the longer we keep pretending it won't happen, the harder it's gonna be.
Eventually tortured son and a ferocious father.
You are great bitch. Ask anyone around these parts. Blazkowicz is a name of renown and respect. Everything you touch turns to shit, and I do not need your stink on my name.
Pick your head up, Jess. Come on now. What the?
Daddy?
Oh my God. Is this real?
They brought humanity to an experience that was all about death. They did something incredible, so it really should have surprised no one when it was announced that they would next be tackling a game featuring one of the most iconic characters of all time. It was maybe a bonus that they had been making games about stopping Nazis for over a decade also. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a first-person action-adventure game that is really unique among its peers. Uncharted games have wide linear levels. The new Tomb Raider games have sort of a hub and tunnel style map design like the new God of War games. But the Great Circle has two distinctive environment types. There are linear levels meant to just move the story forward, but most of the game is spent in 3 open-world levels in the locations of Vatican City, the Pyramids of Giza, and Sukhothai, an ancient city in Thailand.
Look, Jones. There it is. The old treehouse.
One could obviously beeline their way through the main story, but some of the game's best content is in the side missions. Great stories with surprises and dangers aplenty. Also, more opportunities to see Machine Games' great character work.
Dr. Jones.
Sorry, do I know you?
Annika. Annika Lund. I was your student.
Oh, right, Annika from Norway.
Sweden. You don't remember me, do you?
Hey, Antonio.
For me?
No, that's the latest humdinger out of New York City.
Grazie, amigo mio. I think you will need some rest.
I better get back to the tent. Make sure Gina got back safely.
How do you know Gina's sister?
How do I know Gina's sister? I met her on a dig I sponsored back in Saqqara. She was a charming lady. Covered in dirt. Deciphering 3,000-year-old inscriptions on a burial chamber. Beautiful as ever.
You are the American priest that Padre Ventura was talking about. I love America. Please, come to confess me. Wait. You are not a priest.
This American music is astounding. How do they play like that?
There are great characters in each of the game's open levels, but there is one character, besides Indy himself, who bridges them all together, and that is Gina Lombardi.
Dr. Indiana Jones, Professor Archaeology Department, Marshall College, Bedford, Connecticut.
Yeah? And you ain't no nun, sweetheart.
You know nothing about me.
Well, I might not be a priest, but I'm pretty certain stealing is a straight no-hitter with the Ten Commandments. Not entirely certain what the rules are for a reporter.
Oh, do you?
You were taking notes in shorthand.
I'm an investigative journalist, and right now I'm looking into the disappearance of someone very dear to me. Well, I can see how you could drive a woman away. For what it's worth, when we first met, I thought you were a heartless, grave robber.
Is that a fact?
Yes.
And, what do you think now?
And I was wrong.
She's of course the obvious love interest for Indy, but she also is a companion to Indy throughout the story, giving him someone to talk and express himself to, as well as give hints to the player.
Here.
Meet me on the other side.
It's a great game design choice that can be traced back to other companions like Sully from Uncharted, Ellie from The Last of Us, or Atreus in God of War. Gina provides clues during puzzles which are elaborate and fun to solve. I've never been a huge fan of puzzle games or puzzles in games because I find it's a hard line to walk when designing them to make them solvable while still not being obvious. Being stuck on a puzzle can be demoralizing and make you feel stupid, which is crazy because I don't know why anyone wants that. But the world is large, I suppose. Maybe I'm biased, but I think the best examples of puzzles in games are when you make even players like me feel smart. I think Machine Games did a hell of a job here. All puzzles have a logic that is easy to follow. Sometimes it takes a second to figure out what to be looking for in the first place, but a clue from Gina or a quick Google search can put you on the right track. I definitely Googled how to start a few because I was stumped, but as soon as I understood where to begin, it was really satisfying to figure them out on my own. I don't want to get into the story too much. It's all about Nazis and conspiracies that start with the Catholic Church and go wilder places from there. It's not a very personal story to Indy, but we do get moments where we briefly learn of his past mistakes with loved ones.
can't just run away from your problems, Indiana.
Watch me.
Troy Baker gives a truly incredible performance that most of the time is indistinguishable from Harrison Ford.
I never walked around my house going, I wonder if I can do a Harrison Ford impersonation.
I think this guy did a great job.
And that makes the experience that much more complete.
If I'd known he was so good, I would have done it myself.
Combat is much more stealth influenced than one might expect from Machine Games after so many years with Wolfenstein, but they've given this game an incredibly unique combat system that screams indie and makes this game unlike any other in the action-adventure genre. Yes, this is first person. Yes, you can shoot, but you probably won't. There are certainly times where gunfighting is the only way out, but I'd say more than 3/4 of the game can be played non-lethal. Most fights are hand-to-hand. Indy can use weapons he's picked up to clobber people, as well as guns, but guns draw attention. Most of Indy's conflicts and disagreements can be settled with fists, quietly. Indy can also use the whip in combat. It's especially helpful in dealing with enemy canines. Of course, it's used more often in navigating the environment, which is really fun. The developers made an interesting decision to switch to third-person view during moments like these. I'm not sure that I think it's necessary, but I guess I can understand them wanting to visually emphasize those big indie moments. Another mechanic, I'll be honest, that I'm not sure about is based on another of Indy's iconic accessories, his hat. Of course, this ability, among others, is optional, but the Great Circle has a feature where after Indy dies in combat, if he can reach his hat in time, he revives and all enemies around start walking away. It's incredibly silly and made me laugh every time I did it. It reminds me of the revive mechanic in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, but like a clumsy version, and I have no idea why it's here. That and the third-person view moments are really my only criticism of this game. Machine Games went from making one of the best shooters of the last decade to potentially the best adventure game of the last 20 years. I may not be a fan of Indiana Jones movies, but Indy is no longer a movie character. Indy is a game protagonist. And as such, we as an audience are able to engage with him in an entirely new way. And there's no need for him to ever go back to the silver screen. This is his new home. Thanks for watching. I know I haven't put out a video in a more extended period of time than usual. I promise you I'm doing my best. I work a full-time job and do my best to squeeze all this in. Of course, life happens. You know how it goes. Just know that if I haven't put something out in a little while, there's always something in the pipeline, and I will get it out to y'all as soon as I can. Thanks again for watching.